And we are back with another Black with No Cream podcast. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Realverse World. Today's special guest is the guy Grant Tucker, better known on Instagram as SCKNOWS. Grant is a video artist and photographer based out of Houston, Texas, working for brands like Finish Line, Nice Kicks, Adidas, Puma, Nike, etc., etc. He's pretty much shot for everyone. He's been creating for shoe brands for a bit now and has some incredible work, but as we learn in the podcast, he's slowly expanding the type of content that he creates, especially with his new production company. Grant has a really cool story coming up in the streetwear game, getting massive artists like Jay-Z to rock his shit and finding his niche early. I think there's so many valuable lessons to be learned in this podcast episode, so stay fucking tuned. As you heard last week, we did our first 48-hour film challenge with the Black with No Cream private community for creators. The challenge was to create a one-take video in just 48 hours. We had over 120 plus submissions and the talent was thick, and I'm proud to announce the winners. Also, I want to point out that each winner is taking home some of the fucking most fire prizes ever. We had over $5,000 in prizes, including free Epidemic sound subscriptions, a 4K camera, hard drives, and so much more. I think each person is going to enjoy what they get. Coming in at third, our winner is, and I'll be naming them by their Instagram handles, Devin24_7. A very simple yet complex video. We were blown away with the technicality here. Thanks for also sharing your BTS, Devin. That shit was pretty cool to watch. Our second place winner is going to 𝐅𝐀𝐕𝐎𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐄 for this very thoughtful piece about a photographer who has fought against the naysayers. Love the Black with No Cream plug as well. And our first place winner goes to Josh is Trippin' with a very cohesive and fun piece. I love the camera transition at the beginning and the use of narration and music. It was just on 10. Congrats to all of our winners and a big congrats to everyone who competed. My entire goal with this contest was to challenge you to just get out and create something. And we did that. And we'll be doing more of these contests in the future, so stay tuned. All right, that's it. If you want to join our private community for creators, go to bwnc.com/join to learn about that. If you want to support the podcast and our community, you can do so by copying some of that fucking fire BWNC merch. Shop bwnc.com. Or if you want to fuck with us on Patreon, patreon.com/blackwithnocream. You also get some discounts to the merch whenever you pledge, so it's kind of a win-win. Enjoy the work week. Keep creating. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday and Sunday for a new Black with No Cream episode. And without further ado, I bring to you my interview with Grant and the most epic podcast intro ever created right motherfucking now.
Attention.
If you stop this podcast recording at any time, you will die.
I don't want to die.
Do you want to live?
You have 24 hours to share this podcast with 5 people or you will die.
I'm kidding, you won't die. You're just weak shit for not sharing.
And the winner of the best motherfucking podcast goes to...
Black with No Cream.
What do you think?
It's so fucking dumb and so fucking Ben Haggerty.
I knew you would say that. And we're back.
I can't.
You couldn't do the staring?
Yeah, I couldn't hold it that long.
I realized today that when I do these interviews, it always starts off with me saying we're back, and then we laugh, and I say that was weird, right? And then I think like, man, I never thought that my iTunes audience probably has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, because they're not watching this shit on video. Basically, if you're new if you haven't watched the video part, we just stared at the camera for a solid 30 seconds, and it's always awkward, especially because we don't know each other. Like this is the first time meeting, and I just asked you to stare at like a couple cameras randomly. Anyway, sorry about that. Grant Tucker is in the house today. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man.
You're good?
Not understanding why it's so cold in LA right now, but
tell me about it. It's fucking raining, cold,
it's miserable right now.
He was just talking about taking Ubers, and you spent like 3 hours in an Uber today.
Yeah, it was wild. Like just from Santa Monica to here in Hollywood is
dumb.
Way too much. I think we only took like 4 or 5 all day, and it's been like 3 hours.
The hard part is like when it rains, everyone loses full control.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people just don't leave, but then a lot of people just fucking drive like nuts, or they'll drive full speed like they're supposed to, and then they crash. And like,
yeah,
I don't know how many times I've seen it. It looks like a war zone where like you come up around a corner and there's like police with like flare guns and shit. I'm like, why?
But then it's like, you know, you got Houston and it rains for a couple hours and the whole city's underwater.
Yeah, right.
So it's like,
yeah, it's weird, huh?
Yeah, it's like there was one time like I had to pick my girlfriend up from. She was trying to get home when there was a flood, and like the Uber driver like would just dropped her off because he's like, I'm not driving through all that. So like I'm walking down the street like trying to get to her, and it's like water up to my knees.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then 5 hours later, water's like the ground's completely dry.
Whoa, what the fuck?
It doesn't make any sense. Like after the hurricane, everything started filling up like a lot because they just keep building and building and building and not really paying attention to like where it floods.
That's insane, actually.
So it's wild. Okay,
before we start getting into where you're from and all that shit, do you want to explain to I know I was able to do like little research. We saw actually Dave sent me your Instagram. I started looking at it. I'm like, damn, this dude's fire as fuck with this shit. And you make some pretty fire content, my friend. Just scrolling through his feed right now. Y'all should take a look. You go by SCKNOWS?
Yeah.
What's the meaning behind that?
So SCKNOWS was kind of the name that I switched to after, because I sold T-shirts. Like that's how I got started, and it was called Simply Complicated. So when that started failing, I switched, and I was like, I'm gonna start shooting concerts and stuff. Which is, I swear we've met before, like in Austin, like at the Ilmore, I think. Because when you were talking about the Ilmore episode, I was like, I was at that one.
Did you get into it?
Yeah. Did you go to the one at the ice skating rink?
I don't know what it was. We got both times that I went to the Ilmore. We got stuck outside because we came too late. It was like already shut down. Okay. So we would be sitting outside like, fuck, we got to leave. So then we leave. But maybe we met outside when you were leaving.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because I remember one that I got into. It was like at an ice skating rink. And it was the one that was like Skrillex and Wayne performed together.
I don't even know what we missed. Because both nights we got the invite. We were down to get in or whatever. Shout out to my boy Ash Travers. But when we got, like, we'd stay at a showcase too long or some shit, and then by the time we got over there, it was just like a nightmare. Like, I remember getting there and A$AP Rocky pulled up in this Sprinter van, and I swear to God, because no one could get through this gate. The police literally were out there like, it's over with. A$AP Rocky pulls up, and it just was like a fucking carnival where like 30 or 40 girls just poured out of this van with him. It was just like in his whole squad plus him plus all these girls. And I'm like watching it, and they all just like walked into the shit, and I was like, damn, someday be tight. But I don't think I got in there. I know. I mean, I've been paying attention to the Ilmore for a long time. It's a dope event. Was it sick?
It was. I mean, from what I can remember, it was.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was free vodka that night. So
maybe we met.
It could have. I swear we have, because it was when you were talking about the story. I was like, man, a lot of that sounds familiar. Because I haven't done music, because I stopped shooting music completely in 2014 or 2015. Last show I shot was a 𝐅𝐀𝐕𝐎𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐄 show.
Damn.
So it was 2014 or 2015 is when I stopped shooting music completely.
Okay, so before we get into that, first let me tweak this mic. I'm gonna put it like this guy right there. Okay, so explain what you do to people who don't know, who are listening to this right now, and then I want to backtrack into like how you got to where you are right now.
So I mean, that's kind of, I hate answering this question, because it's like it's one of those things where it's like people get like a million things they do.
I know.
And it's like, you're not, you're just saying things.
I know.
So
every time people ask me that question.
So it's I would say that the best way you could describe it is as a producer, right? That's like a blanket term.
Yeah.
So on any given day, like I'm doing photo, video, or design or web for clients, or strategy. Right. So like I have a client right now that like we're doing strategy for like their whole retail store. So that has nothing to do with like photo or video or anything else.
Yeah, totally.
But it's just, I'm in the business of helping making like small businesses and businesses look better for what they're trying to do. Right. That's tight. For the most part, I'm working with small businesses, and then there's the brands here and there. Right.
So from just looking through your Instagram, the way you claim your name on IG as video artist and photographer, and you make cool stuff for brands.
Yeah, I change that all the time, because I was when I see a word that I think works better, I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that one. Yep. Because I don't want to just put like creative, because I feel like that's like too vague. It's like, I know, that's a cool, I'm happy. Like that's the same. Right. That's the same type of adjective. So I don't think that describes anything. Like I like to make things. You know, it's like we were talking before this. Like I've been getting super burnt out lately. So that's usually when I try to find something else to do. Right. That's not necessarily creative related. So like 6-8 months ago, it was like, I'm gonna learn how to like ferment peppers or something, like something just like super wild and like off the wall, like, and then it moves on, and I'm like, I'd start trying to think of how to turn something into a business, and I'm like, okay, this was like supposed to be a hobby, like I gotta chill. Right. So then like a couple weeks ago, it was like designing furniture and stuff. That's pretty tight. It's like it's all over the place. Damn. I feel like I also am the same way too, especially with Black with No Cream, because I hate that the entire thing was like a creator it's like I guess I just already forgot like how I've always said it over and over again. But I always say it's like, I'm a content creator. This is for content creators. And then you see everyone's a content creator. So you're like, well, can I say pro before it? Because at this point in my life, I feel like I'm professional at content creating, but that's like so dumb. Or I just recently was thinking about using like curator of content. Yeah, see, I've been through that too. It's like, it's hard to come up with a name, and it's like, don't like saying pro because like I can say that I'm pro all day and like other people would say that I'm professional, and then there's sometimes where I'm in a meeting and I'm like, I probably shouldn't be here.
Right.
And then I'm trying to like figure out how to answer something, and I'm like, okay, like you get humbled, so it's just like you're floating between like what professional is and
I know, it's fucking weird. It's like a hard, I don't know. And it's also interesting how you just kind of pointed out, like, by saying you're a photographer or a videographer, then I didn't know you did web and design.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Most people don't.
So it's hard to like explain all of that in a nutshell. And anytime people ever ask me, I'm always, I just do a lot of shit. Like,
yeah,
it's just whatever makes, like, I feel is cool, I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I rock. But so so it was more so photography. Okay, wait. Let's run it back to, you said you had a shirt. Did you say you're from St. Louis? Did I hear that?
Yes.
Tight. I'm from Iowa, so we're pretty close.
Yeah, there's like nothing in St. Louis at all.
No?
I had the Rams and then they left, so.
That's true.
But I mean, I wouldn't go back to St. Louis either, so I can't really blame them.
Yeah.
I would have moved to LA too.
When did you move to Houston? You're in Houston now.
Yeah, I'm in Houston now. So I moved to Houston 7th or 8th grade, I think.
Oh, okay. Word.
So, I mean, I grew up in, like, at this point, I'm 28 years old.
Yeah.
I've grown up in Houston. Like, I went to high school in Houston. I went all 6 years that took me to graduate at U of H. I did that in Houston.
Yeah.
So that's where I grew up pretty much. But I'm from St. Louis. Yeah.
Right. Do you have any recollection of like St. Louis playing into your creative life? Was there anything there? Or were you too
No,
young?
because I mean, I knew that I wanted to do something with art because like I was never super athletic. I'm from like a really, really small town. So the small town that I'm from is like 500 or 600 people. It was at that time.
Goddamn.
So it was like it was one of those places where you had like kindergarten through like 8th grade.
Right.
It wasn't like the same school.
Yeah.
Or no, I think they stopped it and it was like 6th through 8th, but it was, my high school graduating class was bigger than like my entire middle school.
Wow. Fuck.
And it was only like 600 people, which is small for Texas.
Yeah.
So it's, some of those, they'll have them at like a football stadium, like 1,700, 2,000 people.
Right. Because it's like a huge, I mean, like.
It's just wild.
Yeah. High school football is massive.
Yeah. It's just a massive amount of people.
Fuck. That's crazy.
It's a huge change. And it's like, I always wanted to do the art because that was what I thought I was good at. And it was, when you're a kid and you can like halfway draw, they're like, oh yeah, you draw so good. And then that's your thing, is you're the person that draws stuff. Right?
That's so fucking true.
It is. It's like you're the kid that draws things in class, right?
Right.
And, for a lot of people and like me included, and I was, really introverted. I'm still really introverted now. Like that was my way of talking to people. Like they would see what I'm doing and they would ask me about it. And like that was like the easier way to meet people because they would see like what I could do.
Right.
And, I moved to Texas like halfway through 7th grade, and then I moved again in 8th grade to a different school, and then obviously went to high school in 9th grade. So I had like 3 school changes like really, really quick. And it was, it was hard for me to like, I've never been one of those ones that's just like is going to go up and talk to you.
Right.
It's just not how I am.
Yeah.
So that was always my thing. And then when I got to high school, I realized how not good I was
At drawing.
Like
Right.
I was still better than a lot of people because it's, the standards for like what's good, it's very, very low. But once you get in that realm of good, like the range is,
yeah, then you have those
insane.
dudes that the guys and girls that are just like fucking making
like
shit
there
look
was
real
this-
life.
Yeah, like there was this guy that was in my class. He was a freshman, and this was when I was a senior in high school.
Right.
And he had like a completely, what's the word? Eidetic memory, like a photographic memory.
Yeah.
And he could just draw like a building in perfect detail, like from memory. And I was just like,
That's fucking crazy.
I'll never be that good at anything in my life. Like that is just wild.
Right.
And then, I applied to art school. Like I got accepted to SCAD in Georgia, which was huge.
Which is what? Like
It's an art school.
art school. Okay.
And I went because I applied to all of them for graphic communications. I got accepted. I got offered like a $20,000 or $25,000 scholarship.
God damn.
Still couldn't afford it.
Fuck.
Because it was something like $40,000 a year or something.
Yeah, it's dumb money. But for what, 2-year or 4-year
4.
program? 4-year program.
It was 4, and it was like 40, and then all these extra things you had to do, and I was just like, it's just not a good idea. And then I found out I was accepted at U of H. I never even got an acceptance letter or anything at the University of Houston. They just enrolled me. So I was like, well, guess I'm going to college.
So
like, that's cool, I guess.
They're just like, you're gonna go to school.
Yeah. And then I was a graphic communication major for 3 years. And then I was like, I'm not like really into this. Like it's cool. Like I can design stuff, but it's like, I'm not really learning anything substantial. And it's like, I'm paying a lot of money to do this. So it's like, when you're in the art school, it's like, you got to pay for all your mats and like your art supplies and everything else. And like, I was driving I was going to school 5 days a week, and I was driving like 50 miles each way. So it was like, I wasn't even talking to anybody at school. So it's like the whole college experience, like I didn't have that because I was commuting to school so long. So it was like I would go and then I would probably not pay attention to class.
From
then,
home?
Yeah.
Like you were saying at home?
Yeah. So like I would get up at like 5 o'clock every day to get to class at 8:30 because the traffic and everything was so crazy. So I'd leave at like 5:30, 6 every day. And it just, you know, when you're a junior at the University of Houston, you have to apply to be like in this program called Block, which is how you get the degree. And they only had a certain number of slots, so that if you didn't get in like 3 times, you had to change your major.
Damn.
So it's like you could be in school for 4 years and they tell you have to change your major. And I was like, I'm just going to act like I'm going to get denied and just accept it. And then I'm going to switch my major.
Right.
And I switched to marketing, and that's what I graduated with a degree in.
Oh, shit.
Barely, but like I graduated.
Yeah, right.
So
fuck, that's insane. That's such a long drive to go back and forth, and then to not communicate with people. You like miss that whole atmosphere. So then what were you spending most of your time when you would go home focusing on being creative, or what were you doing?
I'm probably the laziest creative in the world. Like it's because I just go on these spurts. Like I'll just like go in a hole and I'll do something for like 2 or 3 days. But like otherwise it's like, and I was actually talking about this on Twitter last week because this guy told me that he said that I wasn't a real photographer because I'm not shooting every day. And I was like, you clearly have never had to shoot every day.
Yeah.
Like if I'm working a lot and like my workload is crazy and it's like not even photo related stuff. Right. It's like the strategy and everything else, right? Like I'm not going to just like hang out and shoot. Like I'm not just one of those like let's shoot people.
Nah, just even dumping raw photos onto your computer and having to go through Lightroom. Like that's a fucking 25-minute process.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's like I'm good. So it's like if I have time off, like I'm going to take that time off.
Yeah, for sure.
And then and I just thought that was funny because it's like I don't knock anybody that does that because I know people that like they have to be shooting all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. You know, that's like the outlet for them. That's not how I am.
Right.
So it's like, you know, when you say, oh yeah, and like let's shoot when we're there. So like people were saying, you know, to shoot when I was in LA, and I was like, I
don't really want to.
I don't really want to. Like we can hang out.
Yeah.
Like we can go get coffee or something. But it's like I'm not really trying to like work while I'm here. And then like obviously that changed. But yeah, it's just. I don't know what I spend my time on. Like I know that because that was like that was before YouTube got really big.
Right.
So like in high school, like all I would do was Photoshop tutorials. Like I would just wake up and I would just do them nonstop. So I started with like Photoshop.
Like making your own?
No, like I would make my own.
Yeah.
And I would try to like put them on blogs and stuff and get like Google AdSense dollars, which if you've ever done anything with Google AdSense, especially back then, it paid like nothing.
Yeah.
So I think all in all, I got like $100 ever.
Goddamn.
For all the impressions that it got. So it was like nothing. But I would just try and learn as much as I possibly could because I had like a bootleg version of Photoshop 7. And then once I got to college, I started paying for it because it's when I got the discounts and everything. And then, so I mean, now in my free time, I don't really watch TV. Like I just watch YouTube videos on how to do things. Right. Because it bothers me when I don't know how to do something. And I'm like, you know, this other person's doing this. And like the brands are looking at this. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to do that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to like brush up your tools or like continue to like have more new tools. Exactly. As they pop up. Because everyone's always changing shit. And I feel the same way too with video and photos. Like I put my shit in my closet and I'm not using it. My whole week could be spent on strategy for multiple different projects or whatever. And then you sit there and you look at Instagram like, fuck, I should probably post something on my Instagram, but like I haven't done anything. I don't want to post old shit. And then you just get in this weird cycle where you're like battling your mental of like not being relevant anymore. Yeah. And it's even worse with me because it's like, I'll want to post something and it's like, okay, I have this that's really cool, but it's like, if it's not shoes, nobody cares. Right. Weird. So it's like, there's just so much stuff that I do that I never really put up. Right. So it's more for me. It's not necessarily like for Instagram because it's like, you would appreciate it like if you're, you know, like really in After Effects or something like that. Yeah. That's some stuff that, you know, people would appreciate. But, you know, the way that things get seen and, you know, I hate when people like complain about like Instagram's algorithms and stuff like that. Because it's just at the end of the day, like make what you want to make. And, you know, if people want to follow you, like they're going to go for that. Right. So like there's people that are, you know, super like dedicated to like going through my stuff and like I really appreciate it and it's crazy to me because it's like to me it's just me trying to do something better for myself. Like I don't really do it for anybody else. Even if it's for a client, like
yes, it's for a client they're paying, but like I'm challenging myself, like I'm pushing myself.
Yeah.
It's like when people ask me how to do things, like I have no issues whatsoever telling you exactly how I did something. Because either one, you're not going to be able to do it. Two, you're just not going to want to do it. Or three, you're going to do it and you're going to do it better than me. And then I'm going to figure out how to do something else.
It's a win. So, I know.
So it's like, I don't like when people try to like hold the information and everything else, like why?
I hate that.
Like there's not a single original idea in the world. You just found a different way to do it than somebody else did. So it's like, if you're super stressed about like holding something like a process, like next to your heart, like you're not doing something with, it's not a manufacturing process.
Yeah.
Like you're using the same tools as everyone else. Somebody's going to figure it out eventually.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's a great way to like, you know, just build relationships with people. It's like going back to me being introverted. Like a lot of times when people will ask me about things, like that's when I'll start talking to those people more and more. Because it's more of a relationship builder, because not everybody, like you don't want anything from anybody. Right. You're not asking me for free shoes or something like that. It's, you know, we're having like a conversation that's adding value for everyone. Yeah. And it's not a waste of time.
That's why it was so important for me to start this community, because I'd see that shit. And I even see it when I try to get people on the show. I'll be like, yo, come through and like, let's just chop it up. We'll talk about stuff like, and people be like, I don't know. I don't really want to give up like the way I'm doing it yet. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
like I don't get it.
People are going to like, if it becomes something that's like a hot commodity, the internet goes crazy. Like, you don't think that they're trying to crack down how Travis Scott did sicko mode. You know what I mean? Like how that happened. Like everyone's going through figuring out, what did Dave Meyers do? How did he make this shit happen? Like
exactly
replicate. Like it's impossible to hold the secrets. I feel like it's like you're saying, it just benefits everyone to share information and also help encourage people to be better at what they're doing. Like if they're interested in it, that's already cool that you set a trend. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like for me on tour, when we just did this last tour, the whole time it was like creating like this silent moment or whatever. Instead of photos, it wasn't like a recap video. It'd just be like a little moment from a show or something. So I just like do whatever. And I hadn't really seen anyone really do that before. Like GIFs are obviously a thing, but it was like a cinematic GIF. Yeah. And then now I've just seen more and more people, obviously, like as they're my friends in the industry too, and they're like, yo, that's fucking sick, blah, blah. And the next thing I see them going to a show and they're shooting a very similar thing. And I'm like, that's fucking dope. Yeah. And I told like Beyonce's CEO about it. He's like, dude, I saw him doing that at the Super Bowl and shit too. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like that's really crazy if it blew up that big. It's not like I'm probably not the first person to ever do that, obviously, but it's the idea that we did it for someone so big that it like kind of leaned into the culture. And then people were like, oh, cool. And I'm like, why would I be mad at that? Like if someone goes and books, if a big brand pays some other creator like thousands of dollars to come do that they got inspired by me to do it, I'm not mad at that. That just means that there's a reason that people are paying for this shit. Like
exactly. And that, you know, that affirms what you thought. And it's like, if, you know, a lot of times people like tag me in something that like a brand did, and it's for whatever reason, a lot of people believed that I was doing a lot of the animation stuff like early, which I don't really think that I was. Right. And it's only been like a couple people, but it's
like animating images,
like the way that I do them.
Okay, gotcha.
So just like the boomerangs, like there's like I'm just taking something from something else. Like I've said it before. Like I take most of my ideas from like food commercials. Yeah. Like if you look at one of my shoe animations and go look at a Red Lobster commercial, you're gonna see the same thing. So it's like, you know, I'm just taking. It's like, you know, real creativity to me, and like actual creativity is being able to see patterns that other people don't see. Right. So if I see an opportunity to do something with food, like at the end of the day, food is a product, right? Like you're selling a product. And if you're trying to focus on something that's so small, like nobody else can give me an example of something that would be that small that you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on a shoe that's this big, or, you know, a steak that's this big, there's a lot of similarities there. And like you can, as corny as it sounds and as cheesy as it sounds, like it's just really easy to get the ideas from there.
That makes total sense.
And then just giving them a new context. So it's like nobody's doing anything different. Like these people that are doing the like they're doing like these vertical like 15-second pieces, right? Like how is that any different? Like putting a bunch of you know, B-roll and then with a narrator over it, it's making it super cinematic for like an ad or something. How is that any different than like a movie trailer? Right. Because if it's two different contexts, so you're just taking it and you're filling it, like you're being creative because you're moving it to something else. Yeah.
No, I feel that. That's super interesting. So let's go back to you having a clothing company. That was during college?
Yes. It was during high school and college.
So is this like your first, you're like, fuck, I'm not going to ever draw better than these people. I'm going to take on marketing. You start marketing. Is that what kind of started? You said it was in high school and college?
Yeah.
So this is before even you got into marketing. You were already thinking of like.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I ever did was I sold hot sauce to taco trucks.
Okay, word. What do you mean?
So I mean, that was when I first moved down here. I remember that me and my mom were having a conversation about something, and she was just like really stressed out about money. And I was like 12 or 13, so I was like, I don't think I can get a job. Like, I'm pretty sure that's like highly illegal for me to work somewhere.
Right.
But I was like, so I'm just gonna go to all these sketchy places and see if they'll give me a job. Like, I went to like a hairdressing place. I'm like, if y'all let me sweep or something, like I just need like a little bit of money. And then this is how long ago it was, because I was walking home through the parking lot of a Blockbuster, and there was this taco truck in the Blockbuster parking lot that was always there, and they had the worst salsa that I ever had in my life, but the tacos were like amazing. Yeah. And like, coming from Missouri, like, we don't have taco trucks. Like, you know, we were an hour from civilization, so like I thought taco trucks were just mind blowing in the first place. And then the next day, like, I told my mom, you know, we went to this farmer's market in Houston, and I just grabbed a bunch of peppers and like tomatoes, and I just like threw them in a blender, and it was even worse than their salsa. But I think that they were surprised that I would do that. And I came back and I brought my friend that spoke Spanish, and he told them, and I don't know what he told them. Like, I'm not going to take any credit because I have no idea what he said to them, because I didn't understand the conversation. But I mean, I know that they bought enough hot sauce from us that summer, because we were selling them to them. Like, we would go to like the community pool, and we would go sell them hot sauce first. So we would have like money to like spend at the pool that day. Wow. To get like snacks and stuff. And then like we had enough money to where we got a lawnmower, and we started mowing lawns.
And started mowing lawns.
Yeah. And I got the first check I ever got was $30. And I was like, man, we just got paid. Like, we got so much money.
I know, right?
Like, I told my mom, I was like, we're going to Sonic. Like, I'm buying everybody food. And it was like the whole 30 was like gone. Yeah, right. And I was like, well, okay, well, now I have to make more money. Yeah. So that was like the first way that I made money. And then in high school, that was when, you know, I was still doing the drawing thing, and I started something like sophomore year, and I called it 32 Clothing. And that was because I was young and I didn't know how to search the internet, apparently. So, I think it was like halfway through like the beginning of my senior year, I found out about 32 Footwear, which is like a huge snowboarding. I was going to say 32. Company. Yeah. I think I was like, well, I was like, so there goes that. Like, that's not going to work. And then I'm like, all right, my life's over. And I'm like 16 or 17.
My life's over.
So I'm just like being super dramatic. I was like, I got to figure this out. And then, me and my partner Ray were talking. He said Simply Complicated or something. I was like, that's it. It's like, let's use that. I was like, I can come up with designs on that like all day. Like, everything's a metaphor. Yeah. So I'm just gonna, you know, have all these shirts. And then freshman year of college is when Jay wore it at O2 Stadium with Coldplay.
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
He did wear your shit?
He did.
That's crazy.
He wore it twice. And it helped out because like he wore it, and then he came home and he was like doing this interview, and he's like, yeah, I don't wear anything twice. And then he did a show at UMass and he wore it again. Damn. And like people were calling him out that he wore it twice. And like that was still the craziest thing. Like, it's like
the best advertisement that people are saying, like, you wore it twice, you wore this shirt, you know. Yeah.
And I'm sure he has like no recollection of this shirt whatsoever.
Yeah, some one of his June probably gave it to him.
Exactly. That was one of her interns who hit me up. So it was like they found me on this blog that was getting like no traffic, and they called me, and I was like, this isn't even real, and it was for the Run This Town video. So it was like
so random.
Yeah, it was for the Run This Town video, and everything was supposed to be for Kanye. But I guess like Jay went in and I guess just like took all the racks.
That. I'm aware of that. All right.
Yeah, it was cool. And because I was like, when the Run This Town video came out, I remember it came out on like September like 4th or 5th or something.
Is it in the video?
No, it's not in the video at all. They didn't wear it in the video. But like a week later is when he was like performing in it, and I was just like, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. Like, this is wild. Like, I don't even know what to do right now. Because like the week before is when like J-Rock was wearing it like backstage, because Scoremore, like I'd always given Scoremore shirts, and Claire from Scoremore gave TD all the shirts for me. Right. And that was when like I guess Kendrick's like first big tour, so it was like right when Dre announced him. Like that video that Dre was talking about, so it was way back. Yeah. And then that was like right when I started doing the photography stuff, because I wanted to try and pick up, you know, the attention that I was getting from that. And you know, I messed a lot of things up, and that shirt ended up being like the best and worst thing that ever happened, because it got to the point where people only wanted the shirt that he wore, and then after like 2 years nobody wanted it anymore. Right. So it was like I would release all these other designs, and it would just, nothing would sell. So I was like, okay, well, it's time to let this go. But the photography stuff, like I have like no overhead and I can just do that.
Right.
So then I started shooting shows a lot.
So wait, were Jay and J-Rock both wearing the same design?
Different ones. Yeah. And like the J-Rock one, you would literally only know that he wore it if you watched the tour recap video from like the Houston or the Texas tour,
right,
where all of them were together.
Yeah.
So it was so I might be messing up the times a little bit. I think J-Rock was a little bit after Jay-Z actually. But it was Bun B, who's, probably the most legendary Houstonian, as far as music goes. And he's always helped me out a ton.
That's sick.
He's amazing. And we used to, because he was, he's lost a lot of weight now, but he used to wear 3X. So like we didn't ever make 3X because American Apparel 3Xs were just like insanely expensive.
Dumb expensive, huh?
So we would get one 3X made for him every time. And like I ripped off the Nike thing that they do for the LeBrons, where it's like, made to the exact specifications of King James.
Right.
So I made Bun like a custom tag that was on the inside. So like his shirt tag, like it said the size, and then it like had all of that listed out like with my logo.
Wow.
As the screen printed tag. So I had to like pay a bunch extra to have that specially screened every time.
Yeah.
But
it's worth it because he's impressed.
Yeah. And I mean, a decade later, like he still, he never stopped just being around and like supporting, right, like anything that I've ever done. Like if I've asked for his support, like he's been there. He's a
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts, man. So, man, I feel like, so immediately you saw, okay, we're trying to print more shit. No one's buying it because they just want these specific designs. You let it run for like 2 years before you kind of called it quits. Was this you and a partner, right?
Yeah.
So you guys like kind of let it fizzle out for a while, or?
Yeah, but I mean, I was doing most of the work. I'd say probably like 95% of it. Because I was the one that was like trying to call stores and like get it in stores. And we had a couple of stores. So I think at one time, I think the most we had was like 13 stores. That were carrying your shit. Yeah, wow. In like 4 countries, which was cool to say, but it was like they were ordering like 10 or 12 shirts and they weren't selling. So it's like they weren't ordering again. So
how's that work? Do they buy it up front, take the 14, they're not selling, so that like they're just losing money, right?
I mean, I was convincing them to pay up front because I knew if it was going to come down to me having to sell the shirts to get paid, I was never going to get paid.
Right.
And then if there was a chance that I could get paid, I wouldn't have that product. So like I had the advantage of it, the orders being so small that I could generally convince them to pay up front.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, at that point they just discount it or whatever, but they could always sell it on clearance for more than what I was charging. Right. So it was just a low enough, because I didn't really care about making the money. Like it would have been nice to make the money back, which we usually made the money back, but like the last couple releases, it just didn't work.
That's so interesting. Like if you have such a thriving, like for drama to like start Young and Reckless off the TV show and then to rock that shit. I guess he's consistently wearing the gear like on the show versus just like one pop out. Like there wasn't just like one standout. But I mean, it's also like the same challenge artists handle all the time. Like if you were
one hit wonder. Like I remember that it seemed like Young and Reckless like wasn't really gonna get off the ground, and then like it blew like very quickly. And I mean, it's still here, which like can't be said for a lot of people. Like I haven't seen, like there's a lot of brands that were around in like 2010 to 2011 that, they would just like be crazy over on like Fairfax and stuff, and you don't really hear about them anymore. Yeah, it's weird. Like even the Hundreds, which is like a legendary brand, like there's the people that, still really, really respect what, Bobby and Ben did, and I'm going to be one of those people forever, but it's like, you don't see as much Hundreds as you used to. Yeah. And it's like I heard them talking about a podcast too that, they know that they're not as popular as they once were, but it's like, it gives them the advantage because they can spend more time like really catering to those people that are there for them. Yeah. Which I think is great. Yeah. Because it's like, I feel like if you're, and I've always said this, like if you're just doing something so that you can check off something on a list, like that's not the right reason. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to take on a client if they're just trying to like hit numbers. Right. Because numbers don't, at the end of the day, numbers don't mean anything. Like your followers, likes, whatever, that doesn't mean anything. It's cool that those are there, but it's like out of the followers I have, like I still get, like my engagement's not that crazy. It never is. Like the ratio to what you should be getting is like. Yeah. So it's like, I know that there's stuff that I'm doing that may be better than some stuff that's going crazy, but it's like at the end of the day that stuff doesn't matter. Right. Like I'm still, I live comfortably, like everybody is, good.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters to
Right.
me. Like I'm doing something that makes me happy. Like creativity and creative feel like they're a very selfish thing. Like if you're saying that you're doing it for someone else, like you're lying.
Right.
Like it's absolutely something that you do for you.
Yeah.
And other people can be involved in that. And you could say that you're doing it so that you can provide for other people, which usually isn't the case because you usually don't make that much money unless you're like an outlier and you're just making crazy money.
Yeah.
But it's, it's always something that no matter what, like you're still doing it for you.
That makes sense. So what was it, the transition into photography? Were you trying to capture shows that maybe people were wearing your shit? Was that like what kind of sparked the photography?
So the thing that started it is I was like, I was trying to take the hundreds model. I was like, they're shooting all these shows and stuff. And like, I can probably get a press pass through Frank 151 because I know somebody. And so I did, like I bought a camera at a pawn shop with my financial aid money. And I thought it was a terrible camera. Not that I wasn't a good photographer.
Right.
So I was at that like beginning stage of photography where you just want to buy everything. And
everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Like these people that like they're selling like the Lightroom controllers and stuff. Like it's knobs, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, you're just making things to sell to people, which the marketer in me like respects that, but like the photographer, I'm just like you're wasting people's time.
No.
And it's and it's with stuff like that. It's the photography was to help me get into places where I could give people shirts, because that was what I always did. Like I only ever had like 1 or 2 lenses because then I couldn't fit shirts in my backpack.
That's hilarious.
So it was like the security would be like, why do you have all these shirts? I'm like, it just doesn't matter. Like I don't have anything else. Like let me go. And like they wouldn't bother me. And so like the security, like the main place I always shot, he was like, whatever, don't check his stuff. He's fine. Because he would just be full of shirts every time.
They always know.
Yeah. So it's like, once I realized that wasn't really panning out because the stuff I was doing wasn't that great.
Like the photos or the merch?
Well, the photos were pretty bad at first too.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like the first show that I ever shot was Big Sean in the restaurant at the House of Blues. And I snuck into that show and I took pictures with flash with a kit lens standing on top of a couch, and like Big Sean, and like looking at these pictures today, like it's cringeworthy how bad
garbage.
they were. Yeah, like I was going through like my old
God, I need to do that too.
It's humbling, man. Like,
like
it was like I was looking at some work this week and I was like, man, my stuff's like I haven't really done anything really, really cool in a while. And then I went and like I found like my DeviantArt account from high school and I was like, this is so bad. Like I feel great about myself right now.
Right.
Because it's like this isn't even the same person.
Man.
And like the photos, like I would say that they got good pretty fast. Mm-hmm. But then that's when I started not really wanting to do concerts anymore, because it seemed like when I was shooting concerts, a lot of people's stuff was looking the same.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because I mean, you're gonna have the same lights. Most of the time, you're in a 6-foot box. You have the same 3 songs. You can't really move. Like, what are you gonna do that's different?
Yeah.
And you have these people that are just like absolutely incredible about it. Like Greg Norris from Houston.
Beast.
It pisses me off how good he is.
He's a motherfucking beast, yo.
He's unreal.
He was supposed to be on this like 4 different times, where every time he comes here, I respect it because he's a family man, so he's like in and out. And I think at Coachella we were trying to do it in the hotel, and it was just like both times, every single time it's always like, yo, we might have to do this the next time. Like, I'm exhausted. I just did this shit. I'm like, yeah, of course you are. You're a fucking machine.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. And it's crazy because the first time I ever met him was the last show that I ever shot.
Oh shit.
And we were both in the pit at the Wiz show, and he came up to me because like that was when I started doing tutorials, and I posted this. It was like a product retouching video. It was like a screen cap of me like retouching a beer bottle, because when I started shooting shoes, I was a food photographer, and that was like at the beginning of me being a food photographer. And he was like asking me about the video and stuff, and I was like, yeah man, it's cool. And like I had seen his work every now and then, but then just like like his stuff on the Donald Glover tour is just
so crazy.
If there's not a book, I'm gonna be upset.
It's fucking incredible. The shit that he shoots is nuts.
Yeah.
He the reason we met was because this dude came on to, when I was on tour with School IQ, we went to Made in America, and which was cool for me because I was like finally touring in like a big tour. I got to go to Made in America, which I've always wanted to go. I've always watched the live streams and shit, like being from Iowa. And I get there, and SZA was performing, so we went so Q could pop up and perform a song with her. And after the show, SZA came in our bus, and she just like came to say hi, but she brought like 3 of her friends. And one of the dudes was like a photographer, and he introduced himself to me. And I swore it was Greg something, and I didn't know what it was. So I looked up Greg I found him and I was like, oh, he's a photographer, and he had just shot her, but it was in Texas. So when I messaged him, I'm like, did I just meet you in the bus? And he's like, nah, I'm in Texas. I'm like, oh, well, your shit's tight. And he's like, yeah, I just shot SZA the other day. That's crazy. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, whatever. And then like a year later, we met somewhere. We're like, yo, what's up? And then I've just followed him since. I'm like, that's the most random way to meet someone, but to stumble on his shit and not have seen it before, I'm like, this dude is a beast at capturing shows. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I don't think there's a single person breathing crazy right now that shoots shows better than he does.
He's a monster, man. That's fucking. Shout out to Greg. Follow him if you don't know him. But he was watching your tutorials.
I mean, I don't know if he was watching my tutorials. He saw that specific video because we didn't like. That was when, you know, his audience wasn't that big. Mine was super small. Like mine didn't even start growing until like late 2016. Right. Like when I actually moved to the city. Yeah. And I could work more. Like that didn't really take hold till then when I started working with Finish Line.
But you were doing food. You were doing food while doing the concerts, or
I was just shooting whatever,
everything
except for weddings. Like I'll never shoot weddings.
How'd you get into food?
So
all like, we needed some fire shots of my hot sauce, bro.
So all through college, I worked at a Best Buy call center. Okay. So I worked for Geek Squad in the call center, which is like the most miserable job.
I can only fucking imagine.
And it was like right when VCRs were like still being sold a lot. So it was just like every single call was like me talking to an old person, like how to connect their VCR up to their TiVo. And I'm like, why are you, like, this is like, I'm shortening my life, like sitting here on this phone. Right. And then I would just like, towards the end, it got to the point where like they moved me to overnight, and I was like answering chats on bestbuy.com, and I was like, I don't really feel like it. So I would go like a whole night and not answer like a single one. Right. I would just like X them out and like watch YouTube videos, and I'd go to the gym for like 2 hours and come back. And, you know, rightfully so, I got fired.
Oh, okay, fair.
On my day off. And I was like applying for jobs, and it was weird because I'd never been fired before, but it was just like, okay, cool, like that's over. I don't ever have to go there again, so that's fine. And I was just like applying. I was just like on Craigslist, and it was like social media manager needed. So like I read a bunch of like social media manager articles, and I submitted my resume, and like I got a job at a catering company the next day. He's my partner now, is the guy who hired me before. Oh, weird. And so I was shooting food for his catering company. So I had never shot food before, but that was a part of what I needed to do for him. So that's when I started shooting food a lot, and that's what, you know, I got really into that because I just, like I said, when I get into something, like I go in a hole, like that's what I focus on. And like people don't realize how hard food photography is.
I've done it before, like lightly, and it was early for me. So I was like, fuck, how do you light this shit? How do you make it look like McDonald's?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the retouching is difficult, and it's so incredibly hard. Yeah. And like I post stuff about it every now and then, but like I know people don't care as much because they see that the pictures are good, but like I'm a person who nerds out over like the technical aspect of it. And so like doing things like product photography, like if I'm shooting a product for one of my clients, like one of my clients is one of the clients for the small agency is a dispensary in Boston. So like if we're shooting a bud that's like this big, right? Right. Like that one bud may take me 60 shots because I have to like stack everything. Yeah. So it's like that stuff, like, yes, all these before and after things on Lightroom are cool, but like that's not doing anything technical, right? So it's like,
it's not about how you like, I saw you did a YouTube video. I think it was one of your last tutorials that you posted. It was like, maybe you had some like jelly beans or some shit, and you were trying to shoot it at an angle.
Yeah, so that was gummies for the dispensary company, and like I screwed that up because I let the gummies sit on my desk, and Texas is Texas, and it's very hot. Shit. So they were all deformed, but it was like, you know, when you're shooting at something at scale, because it's like people get a camera and like they don't try to learn. They don't try to learn about like what a focal plane is, right? Like something super basic that like, you know, if you consider yourself a pro, like considering yourself a pro and being a pro is knowing the basics. Yeah. It's like, if you're just one of those people that's just like, I'm shooting and I'm using Lightroom presets, like that's cool, but you're not trying to like push yourself. You're not trying to learn. Right. You're not trying to learn the craft of what you're doing, which is why if you go to something, especially shows, and you're there with like all these older guys that have been around for a long time, and they're wearing, you know, their photo vests and everything else, and all their pictures suck, but they know what they're doing. Yeah. And that's why they've been able to make it a career. So it's like, if you have this old guy who's trying to tell you that, you know, I don't edit any of my pictures because that's against AP guidelines. Okay, cool, bro. Congratulations. Like, I want my stuff to look cool. Yep. But, you know, he's making a living off of it. And you're probably like, I got paid for one show ever. I shot 250 shows.
Jesus Christ.
And I was supposed to get a total of 2 shows paid for. but I never got paid for the first one.
What do you mean? What were you doing? Were you just shooting them, like volunteering to shoot them, or was someone like
I was saying it was for SCKNOWS because SCKNOWS was like a blog.
Oh, okay, word.
So it was like I was just putting everything on there, or I would say it's like Frank Fun 51.
Right.
But it was just to get access. Like it was just to meet people. Like that was the only thing I cared about.
Right.
Like my other business partner is somebody that I met while doing that, and he can't take a picture to save his life. Like he still can't. But that was when he met, because he was doing like a magazine thing at that point. So that was how he knew people.
Yeah.
And that was how he met people. So that was the only thing I used it for. But I wasn't making any money off of it. Right. If anything, it was costing me a ton of money because I'm driving so far to do it, and I'm paying for parking. And like I drove to like 2 festivals. Like I put myself up at South by 4 times. So it's like now I go to South by and like I go to the tech week, and then as soon as like all the music starts, I leave. Yeah. Because it's just like that stuff was cool, and like it's. What will you do at Tech Week? Is it for networking, or are you going to like were you going to? Capture? I mean, I go to like the panels and stuff like that. So it's like I'm not really working it. Yeah, you're just going to learn. Yeah. That's when I get like really into the marketing aspect of things. Right.
So product photography, shooting like food and shit like that. Does that transition into you starting to pick up shoes?
Yeah. So I got hired by Finish Line as a freelancer in October 2016. And the thing was, you know, we have like this small budget and we need Instagram assets. So we're going to have you shoot 3 shoes a month. You do like 6 to 12 photos or something. Like that's all we want. And that was how I started shooting shoes. But I had never shot shoes before that. Like I was literally a food photographer the day I started working with Finish Line.
That's crazy.
And like the first ones that I shot, like I shot some Adidas Alpha Bounce on like a yellow poster board, like on my mom's kitchen table.
Right. Next to a sweet corn.
It was literally like just the yellow, and I was like, oh, it's so cool, because I had the fishing wire or whatever, and like I had it held up, and I thought I was doing something crazy. And the other ones, like I couldn't figure it out because I was like, this is so boring. Like this is an ugly shoe. Like how am I supposed to like take a picture of this? And then I realized like how challenging it was, but like how cool it could be like if I figured it out. Yeah. Like if I was gonna do something that was different, like I feel like it would have gotten noticed. And like 6 or 7 months in, because it's a monthly thing, and it's still a monthly thing to this day. And
but they're just hiring you on like retainer to capture.
Yeah, so it's like so it's like a monthly retainer. They send me shoes every month, and right. Then, you know, we go from there. They let me do whatever I want, which is amazing.
Do they give you models and shit, or are you finding all that on your own?
No, I get it all on my own. So they literally just send me the shoes and then pay for it. So
just go for it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And everybody at Finish Line is amazing. Yeah. So it's, you know, I have creative control. I can do whatever I want to. They trust what I want to do.
It's a fucking win.
Yeah, exactly. Because like having a client that'll let you do what you want is so rare.
Dream, bro.
Yeah, it's like as cool as it is, and like as amazing it is to like meet with like these big companies and things like that. It's like, yeah, this is really cool. Like I'm going to meet with them. I'm going to do some stuff with them, and then you get there and like they give you like the list of deliverables you have to do, and like here's your brand guidelines, and like make sure that your colors match this. Like here's the Pantones to make like.
Worse.
Yeah, like I'm good. The Finish Line's like, this is fire, do it.
Yeah, that's
like
dope.
I'll literally get like, I'll be like, did you look at the folders? And then I'll just get a bunch of fire emojis, and like, okay, approved. There we go.
That's so perfect. That's like the perfect scenario.
It's the perfect client. Like I love Finish Line. Right. You know, other clients that we have, not the same. Of course. Like I'll get some that, you know, they'll email about everything, and like
sometimes
I get it.
I kind of like that happens, because it trains you to be willing to work with people. Yeah. In the sense of like, I know that happens all the time where I'm like frustrated because I know for sure this is the one. This is the edit, or this is the photo, whatever. This is going to be, everyone's going to love this shit. And then you show the person that you think is going to say it's going to be fire, and they're like, what if we do, and like change the whole thing. And I'm like, letting that go is such a challenging move. Once you learn how to do that, you're like, all right, cool. I can be more flexible with brands. Yeah. You can do those shitty jobs like that for a while, and then that allows you to be creatively controlling of your own content or whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing, because I know that I'm wrong a lot. I think, you know, I was very, very, very cocky and annoying for no reason up until like a few years ago. And like I had to realize that like I hadn't really done anything. Like I haven't really done anything. I haven't accomplished all this. Like there's no reason for me to think the way that I think. Right. Like, yeah, be confident that you know what you're doing, but like, don't be a dickhead. Right. And that guy was just, What
do you mean? To like other people that were...
like just the way that I talked about things. Like I would just hype things up, and it's just embarrassing to see like the Facebook memories. Like I'll delete every single one of them.
It's the worst. Sometimes
I'm like, that Grant's dead. Like he's gone.
I see my old shit on Facebook, and it's like me, because I used to do music and shit, and I would promote as if I were like a Kendrick or whoever it was at the time, or like Mac Miller, how he had his whole squad and like they put out content, or Big Sean and all these people, and you're just like, fuck, I want to be like them. So be like, yo, pull up to the thing, it's gonna be lit, blah blah blah. And you're like, I'm like, what do I? No one. I wasn't talking to anyone. Like I was talking to my town.
Like I would show like the corner of like like I would get really close to my monitor and be like, yeah, y'all aren't ready for this one. It'd be like a mock-up, and I'm like, and I'm looking at it now, I was like, I wouldn't even wear that. Like, it's so bad.
I would always do like blurry screenshots of like a timeline, and it's like, yo, no one cares what's on there. No one's gonna watch that show when it comes out.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I still do that stuff now. I'm not gonna lie.
No, like, I do too. But at the time, I like 2 likes. No one knew what a timeline was. I was talking to like my fucking high school friends that didn't, like, they're all doing normal jobs and shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for me personally now, it's like I'll take a picture of a timeline because I was like, I managed to get through all this in Premiere with it crashing 27,000 times.
Fucking worse.
Like, I'm proud of this. So like, here's a picture of my timeline. That's all in one piece.
That's the best. Like after we finish documentaries and you show like before and after we like clean it up, it's like so fucking, I don't know, humbling, because you're just like, fuck, that's a lot of clips. Like,
yeah, like I've never had to edit something longer than like 20 minutes. I'd cry if I had to do anything that long.
I've done 3 documentaries.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's so much to keep track of, and like people don't realize that like the life of an editor must be difficult. Like there's no way that I could just do that all day.
It's fucking intense, dude.
You have to know so many things at the same time. It's like having 5 different conversations and then teaching those people at the same time.
Right. And then you have notes coming in. They want you to try 2 or 3 versions of one thing, and you're like, all of a sudden that's all spread out, and it's just a mess, bro. It's like the fucking worst. It was cool for us doc-wise, because I was at the same pace when I got into it. I'd never done anything more than like 10 minutes maybe. Yeah. And the first doc we did was Chris Brown's documentary. And so it was 90 minutes maybe total. And what we did, what I thought was cool, was we broke it into like segments. So you had like reel 1, reel 2, reel 3, reel 4, and you divide it up. So they are like 11 minutes. And it was like kind of annoying, because when you were trying to watch it, then you'd have to like grab all this shit from this sequence, grab all this shit from this sequence, and put them together. But the payoff is that when you go to export for delivery, like anytime you had to show a client or something, you'd export it. And if something got fucked up, you didn't have to re-export the entire film. You got to only just go back, tweak your one thing in one reel, and then go back. And I was like, oh, fuck, that makes too much sense. And then, you know, it solves the problem. But you have to like think of how this
coming up with those processes in the first place is very difficult.
It's fucking crazy.
And it's like, and thankfully there's like a lot of tools that can like help you with that. So like a thing that we use a lot, and I'm going to say what it is, even though they charged my credit card twice for no reason.
Motherfuckers.
But
did you get the money back?
Yeah, I got it back, so that's fine. Right. But it's worth it to use for people, and it's something called Frame.
Frame?
Yeah, so I use it with clients and everything like that, and it's great. Like,
what is it?
It's just a website where it's basically like you can annotate videos. So you can upload directly from Premiere. It's like a panel in Premiere. You can access comments, and like you can literally go off a checklist of comments. They're like, okay, move this here. Right. And then you can like check it off and go as you go and do it as you go. Cause like I'm super unorganized. Yeah. And
oops, shit. Frame.
Yeah. Frame.io.
Is it similar to how like I know Vimeo Pro or whatever is doing something where you can annotate in the side, like you can mark a spot or pinpoint? Is it similar to that?
Kind of.
Have you seen that?
I just got Vimeo like last week.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't used it, but I know people are like hyped about it because it just allows you to be like, yo, change this shot of her shirt to the white shirt or something. Like you can like pinpoint certain things. But
yeah, just from like an organization standpoint, it's really, really good. Yeah. And it's helped a lot, especially if you have a client that's like not the best with communication. Right. Because like when you're working with a brand or something, it's like their entire job is communication. So they're not going to leave you alone. Ever. So it's fine. Yeah. But like you get another client and it's like they're trying to run their business. Like this business is all they have. Like this is what they're trying to do. The last thing they're worried about is the approval that you need. Right. Which I get, you know, like you're focusing on what's important, because if you don't have a business, you can't pay for the creative. So having something like that, a system that's like super easy.
That's been a solve for you dealing with both sides of the world, like being able to deal with like clients that are focused on their business and then the clients that are like very about communication.
Yeah, because they can go in and see everything immediately. Because like Dropbox always seems to fail when you need it the most.
Fucking Dropbox, man. Fucking worse.
Yeah.
Damn. So you said you have a partner. So when
I have 2 partners.
2 partners.
2.
So what's her business? What's the name of the company?
The business is called Platform Creative House.
Platform Creative Files?
Creative House.
Creative House. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I never really talk about it.
Yeah.
Just because we haven't felt that it was ready yet. Which is why I've been basically doing the website for like a year and a half, because it's like it's so hard to show the work. Because it's like, if I show this, like, I don't want to just get work like this.
Right.
So it's like, I was supposed to launch the website on Friday, and I restarted the whole thing on Friday morning. So it's like, I think it's finally happening, like, this week. Like, I think it's finally going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I think it's right on the right track now. But it's like, it's super, super difficult. Because I'm the one that's doing the creative. And then, you know, my partners, Daniel and Chris, they're both business guys. Like, they both have their own companies. Like, this is all I have.
Yeah.
So like, I don't freelance or anything. Everything goes through this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Got it.
So, like, even though I'm only showing the shoe stuff, like, technically that's still agency stuff.
Yeah.
But you gotta be careful throwing the word agency around.
Right.
Because if you start saying agency, like, to a brand, they're like, oh, we already have an AOR, so like, we're not gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I'm just Grant Tucker, so that's fine. Yeah. So we can get around all of that.
Right. Yeah. I could go that way too.
And it's just, you know, it's just a matter of who you're paying. It's no big deal.
So then what do you guys service? Like, what would you say is like the idea behind the business? Is it like full production type shit?
I mean, it's basically, you know, it could have been video production. It could have been photography. Like, it could have been, like, I don't like the word creative agency, because that just, creative to me is too vague of a word in 2019. It describes way too many things. But every project's not going to be the same. Right. Like, for the longest time, we were trying to figure out if it was something like, if we could just do like packaged products, right? Like these preset things. And it was like, that wasn't fulfilling for me. And it wasn't something I wanted to do. Like, I didn't give up freelancing and all this to do like volume-based work. Right. And I don't have the patience for volume-based work. So it's like, we'll do what we have to do, but it makes it easier. It makes it easier to bring help in or access these larger products if it's something that's bigger than me. Yeah. Because I know when the episode you had Ari on, he was talking about, you know, he brings creatives in. Lots. And like, you need to be able to do that. And if I'm doing something as Grant or as SCKNOWS, like, there's only so far that can go. Right. And I do like to have a lot of control over things. So it's kind of hard bringing help in sometimes. But most of the time, it'll be just like a PA or something like that. Yeah. And a lot of it, like, we're not getting a crazy volume of work. So like, I can still handle it for the most part. But if there's something I don't know how to do, like, I would much rather, for the client's sake and for the money that they're spending, like, I would like to bring somebody in. Yeah. And I feel like doing that as a freelancer is a little bit different than doing it under, you know, the guise of a company. Yeah. And I want the company to be bigger than me. Right. That's, we talk about, so I have, like, on Wednesdays, we have the interviews like this that I drop on Sundays. Wednesdays, we do the morning roast episodes. Morning roasts are like deep dive into specific topics or questions that I see people ask. And one of them we did was like something about running as a one-man band and like how that can defeat you in your process of growing. Like, you could consistently stay in that lane for so long because you're not going to allow other people to take part in like what you're doing because, oh, cool, this person gave me $5,000 to do this job or whatever. I want all $5,000. I don't want to spend $800 on this and $300 on this and blah, 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 because it disappears really quick. So you're just like, you end up spending more time doing the project. You get to collect the bag. But the idea of allowing people to take part in that project, freeing up the time that you would have spent doing something that they may even be better than you at. Yeah. You know what I mean? That just frees you up and gives you so much more time to go get another $5,000 job in that same amount of time that you would have spent doing like the coloring or some shit that you maybe don't want to do, you know? And it's like, and it's a good way to learn about yourself too. Because it's like, I realized that I don't want to, you know, the traveling is cool and everything, but like, I don't like to travel more than like a week. Yeah. Like how you did what you did, couldn't have been me. Dog, it was a plane every day. It was like, fuck. Yeah, it's like we had a 3-hour flight from Houston, and I was just like, I don't like being on planes. Like, this is horrible. Like, and you know, I was like, I want to go to Europe, and I was like, I gotta be on a plane for a long time to go to Europe. Like, I'm too big to just be sitting in a little seat. So like, unless I have enough money to go to the comfortable seats, right? Like, I don't see it happening overseas. This shit's so expensive. It's like, fuck. It's insane. And it was like the longest one we did was Hawaii in November. And it was from LA to Hawaii, right? Which was like 6 hours or something. And I was like, that's miserable. Like, I never, like, I want to go back to Hawaii so bad, but like, Jesus. It's so much, huh? Yeah. I used to be in the way, like, before I started flying out of the country, it was like, you know, the longest trip was flying LA to New York. I'm like, God damn, that's a trip. Like, that's like 6 hours. But then flying to Iowa would be such a process because you have to connect in Denver and then you have to fly to Des Moines. Then I have to drive 2 hours. And like, by the time the day was over, it was like a full fucking day. Yeah. And after I toured and did all the new shit that we've done, like the past couple of years, I'm like we went home for Christmas and I was telling my girl, I was like, oh shit, this flight's only like
It's 2 hours. Each one's like only 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna go to sleep. Like, we just did one from Africa, and that shit was like 32-hour travel day or something.
Yeah, that's insane.
That
And
was
it's like,
dumb.
And like I realized, I was like, yeah, I could travel a lot, and I could, you know, try and do stuff with clients like all over the place. But at the end of the day, like, just like the emails that I'm getting while I'm gone, and like a client that's needing something, if I'm getting pulled in a bunch of different directions and I'm traveling,
Yeah.
like the work's not going to be the best
Right.
it could be. So then the quality of work goes down, and then, you know, the company goes down. So it's like you have to be able to delegate things, and you have to, and this is like a very, very new thing for us, because I was always like, all right, well, if somebody can't do something at the same level of what I'm doing or better, then it's not worth it. But if
Yeah,
it's, you have some, but if you, even if you have somebody that can't do it as good as you do, not saying that I'm doing anything better than anybody else, because I'm doing so many different things.
Right.
If it gives you somebody to work with and to build it with. So it's like, if you're doing, there's a lot of things that you don't see because you're so focused on what you're doing. Like, you can't take a step back and look at the big picture of it.
Right.
And when you have somebody there and you can work through things, it makes it that much easier. So, you know, when I went to do the dispensary stuff in Boston, that was the first time that I had hired somebody to go with me. And just having him there dumping footage and stuff just made it so much easier for me. Like, it cut setup time in half. Like, while he was, you know, doing all the file naming and everything, like, I could talk to the client and go over stuff. So it was just like having that help, like, it made me realize that I can't do everything by myself, and I shouldn't do everything by myself. Right. And it's a hard thing to start, because it's so hard to find reliable people that you can afford. Yeah. Especially in Houston. So it's like the budgets are very small. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people think they can do it themselves. So the budgets aren't really there. And the creatives, knowing that there's not that many of them, they're going to charge a lot more. Right. So it's like I kind of play devil's advocate if I look at things from like the creative side, and then I look at things from like, and I don't want to say the agency side, because it's like we're not doing anything huge, but like an agency perspective of like, okay, well, I can't afford to pay what you're asking. Right. Like, it's not, or not that we can't afford it, it's that what the client is giving us, there'd be no reason for us to do this if we're paying that much. And it's hard to find people that fit within those budgets and that are willing to put aside what they're doing. Right. Because it's like, I'm never going to tell anybody to not do what they're doing. Right. Like, I'm never going to hold anybody back. And I never want to be in the position where that might be, something where I'm holding somebody back. So it's like, it's hard finding people that are good enough, but not so good that they're just like too expensive on their own path. Yeah. And, too expensive. And like, I'm not going to argue with your money. Like, I get it. Like, get your money. Yeah. If you think that that's what you're worth, like, I totally respect that. Right. It doesn't mean I'm going to hire you, though. Right. And I would expect the same thing for me. Like, if we go to a client, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be $10,000, right? And they're like, well, we want to spend like $3,000, and I'm like, sorry, I can't do it. Yeah, it's like the hardest thing to walk away from, because you're used to just being like, fuck it, I'll just do it for $3,000. Yeah, because the other thing I was talking about is like, you have to say yes until you can say no, and all those yeses are hard. They're fucking hard, man. They're so difficult. It's like we're doing like, a lot of websites I don't want to do. Yeah. Or and not anymore, because like a lot of the stuff that and this is just in the beginning, but in the stuff we're doing now, it's like there's more of a concept behind things. Like, there's more that we can do with it. It's not just like a package thing. Right. Right. And then once it moved to not being like a package thing is when I started enjoying it and like really caring about everything. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, it's tough because it's like, I think that everyone faces that problem where you're just trying to get your hands on as much shit as possible. Yeah. And you're willing to break through the door. I was just talking to Nico, so he's like our intern. He has the podcast, and he was talking about touring and like, what's the ideal, what rate should I ask for like a week rate? And then I'm like, yeah, it's always fucking hard because there's never money in music. Yeah. Like, they never want to spend any bread on that shit. So you're never going to make anything that you're like feel respected. But at the same time, you can try to value yourself and figure out like ballpark of like what that artist might make doing the same amount of time that you're gonna do all this shit, just to like kind of figure out your rate or what is okay to ask for, because it's okay to ask for it, but then you also have to, is it worth it to take this L to work with this person, because this person's gonna open up 5 more jobs for me, blah 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 blah. And people have to face that shit. It's tough, but that's just how this industry is every time. Yeah, I mean, like, I had an offer to do. It wasn't really like an offer, it was just like, my friend was managing an artist, and he hit me up and he's like, hey, you're trying to go on tour with us. And that was a week after me and my girlfriend had moved in together. And I'm like, I can't go on like a 4-month tour. Like, it's like, I'm gonna come back and not have an apartment. Like, it's not gonna work out. And, you know, I didn't want to do anything with that, because, you know, that was something that was really important to me. And like, I put my personal life before work,
right?
Which I feel like you should always do.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking back sometimes, like, I kind of regret that I didn't do it just to see what the experience was like. But at the end of the day, like, I'm happier than I've ever been. And the work that I'm doing now, like, even though I talk down on my work a lot, it's more of a kind of like psych myself out, I guess.
Yeah.
I know that I'm progressing more than I would have if I would have done that.
Right.
And the guy that is doing the stuff now is he's doing it way better than I would.
Right.
So it's, you know, at the end of the day, like, I want what's best for everybody.
Right.
Like, if I'm not the best for what you need, then I'm not the one that should be working for you or working with you.
Yeah. Because
I don't want it to be like something where, you know, you feel like I ripped you off or something like that.
Right.
Like, I never want to be one of those people that got successful just by doing whatever I had to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not that important to me.
I feel you.
At the end of the day, like, if I'm living comfortable, like, my family's good and everything else is fine, like, whatever,
yeah,
it's fine.
Out here, I feel like it was funny because that's a similar scenario that I was put in for Q's tour. Because when I did Q's tour, it was like pretty much the same shit. My girl finally moved. I had moved to LA and lived here for like almost a year and a half before she moved out here, and on floors and shit. And then finally, started working with bigger brands and like people and started making money and shit. Got a spot, moved her out, drove from Iowa to here, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, it was the same thing where they asked me to go on Q's tour, and it was also leaving like the next week. Yeah. I was like, fuck. And we had like this big conversation about like, what do we do? And she actually like went back home because we had to go home for a wedding, and went home. We did the wedding. I flew to the tour. She stayed back in Iowa and lived with her family for like those 4 months. We had a spot out here that we were paying for that no one was at. Yeah. And it was like the worst shit ever, because it was like, fuck. Yeah. Like, I've been working to get this offer and it's never happened. And then finally it happens, like, at the worst fucking time ever. Yeah. Like, it wasn't even like the thought of doing it never crossed my mind. Like, it would have been cool, but like, even on the same call, I'm like, no. Yeah. Like, it's just, I know that I'm finally starting to do something for myself. And it was right when we had started doing the agency stuff. So it was like, I'm finally like I don't have a job anymore. Yeah. So it's like, this is great. Like, I'm finally doing what I want to do. And, you know, I'm happy I did it. That's dope. So it's like, I'm here right now. So it's obviously something's working out, right? Yeah, it's working, man. And, you know, that artist is getting very, very big right now. Who? I'm not going to say Post Malone. No, it's not Post Malone at all. That would have been cool, though. Right? Yeah, right. That's Dallas, though. We don't really do anything with Dallas and Houston. Damn. But yeah, it's... why don't you want to say who it is? Is it weird? Not that it's weird. It's just that, like, I feel like that's like an unnecessary name drop thing. So it's like, I'd rather... But, like, I mean, that's also, like, you being appreciative. You work with fucking big... And I don't want to take anything away from the guy who's doing all this stuff now. But you already just told him that he's dope. You said he's dope at what he's doing, right? But it was JID. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So my friend Zeke and Barry's manager, and Christos is DJ. Nice. So Mike is doing a lot of stuff for them now, and he's killing it. Yeah, that's he's sick. Amazing, and he's doing it way better than I would have. Crazy. But it was just like, you know, that initial conversation, I was like, yeah, I can't do it. Right. So it's, you know, he's like, well, I offered it to you, so you're good. It is what it is. No, so, I feel that. Yeah, it's always weird. You always have to pick and choose your battles. Like, that one made sense for me because I knew that was going to change everything drastically for me. Maybe not make great money or whatever it was to do the tour, but to open up the doors. And then, like, the next time the next tour came, which was Kendrick's tour, it was like the same thing where I was like, fuck, do I have to do this? Do I do it again? All right, cool, it might work. And then as soon as the money wasn't there, I was like, yo, you know what? Fuck it, I'm out on this. Like, I'm not gonna do like, I can't do this tour. And that's when I started this whole shit. So it like is cool to, you know, when you do pick your battles, like, good things come out of it. Like, you guys are probably much more better because you stayed home and kept, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Yeah. And then your brand grows for what you want it to be. So when you started shooting like, I guess you say that you work with a lot of local brands. When you started shooting for more national known brands, what's the transition for you there? Like, how did you go about getting that job? I mean, I don't think it's really a transition because it's still, like, national wise, I've only still worked with a few. Right. And it's usually, like, a lot of people don't understand that a lot of brand jobs that freelancers get aren't directly with the brand. Like, it's very rare that, like, a freelancer is getting a check directly from that brand. Like, a lot of times it'll go through like an agency, or it'll be like, you know, you're getting hired to shoot a recap
through the experiential agency that's going out to like the full service ad agency that's like, you know, they're adding margins on top of margins on top of margins. So it's
Is that how you usually get approached?
Sometimes, yeah.
Interesting.
So the only stuff that I've done like solo would be Finish Line. Somebody recommended me on Twitter, and Brandon from Finish Line, he hit me up and he was like, "You want to shoot shoes?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And then Fila was Sean, who used to work at The Source like forever ago. So I would send every single one of my concert recaps to The Source and be like, "Hey, post my stuff." And they would post every now and then.
Right.
But we had kept in contact for the whole time, and he was the marketing manager or over digital or something for Fila, and we did like a 6-shoe project. And then the most recent one was I did 6 shoes for Under Armour for, but it was through Nice Kicks. Like Nice Kicks was doing like a branded content thing with Under Armour for the Curry 5. So I shot 6 of the Curry 5s.
Tight.
So it's like, even though it is with the brand, like it's still, it's disconnected.
Yeah, right.
So it's like there's never been like a transition, because like I'm still doing the bulk of what I'm doing is still local stuff that like I don't really show unless it's, you know, in that context.
Yeah.
And then like I'm showing the shoe stuff because that's what people seem to respond to.
Right.
But there's never been like a full transition. It's always like in and out, like whatever happens with it.
Yeah. Could you see yourself, like Ari set himself up to be in a position where, and I know a lot of people are starting to do this at this point, where his demand's so high and he can't do everything and be everywhere, but now he's starting to send out certain creators to like cover projects for him, and he oversees creative from like a bird's eye point of view, basically. Do you see yourself ever like putting people in positions like that? Because I'm sure like you could go do a project in like fucking Europe or whatever for some shoes that might be sick, but you're like, yo, I don't really fucking want to fly there. Do you feel like that's where you guys are heading as a company, that you guys could start finding young creators that are?
I mean, it's still something like we're trying to bring people in, and I don't like to look that far ahead. Like, yes, I do think it could be that way down the line.
Yeah.
Volume wise, right now, nowhere close. So it's not like I'm not, regardless of what some people like may think of the stuff that I'm showing, like I'm not like super in demand.
Yeah.
It's like the work that I'm doing is like consistent, and I'm keeping it at that level so things don't get out of hand.
Right.
Which is, you know, why the website hadn't been like a huge priority. But it's like now time is freeing up, so like it's like, okay, let's bring these projects in.
Right, totally.
It's like I just did some stuff with Clean Canteen, which is like the water bottle company.
Yeah. Saw that.
So we're doing some really cool stuff. And
are they local?
No. So they're actually way bigger than I thought they were.
Really?
Yeah. So they were the ones that like invented the metal, like the whole metal water bottle thing.
What the
like
fuck?
That was them. And apparently like Hydro Flask was like their biggest competitor, and they got like a huge amount of money and a whole bunch of investment and stuff, and they just blew up.
Damn.
But like they're in, like, and I asked them how many stores he was in. It's like, honestly, I don't even know how many stores.
So many stores. That's fucking
it's like
crazy.
They're in like every Whole Foods, like Target, like all those. So it's like REI, like it's a big company.
Damn.
And I'm really excited about that project.
Yes.
It's not shoes.
So
it's something I can do.
Yeah. How did that come about?
He hit me up on Instagram.
They just found you.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. So it's like most of like I don't know where my work would be right now without Instagram. So it's like I'm never gonna say anything bad about it, because at the end of the day, like me and my girlfriend got to go to Hawaii for free.
It's fucking dope.
Because of a girl that I met on Instagram, and I was like helping her with her, you know, photos and stuff like that, and like giving her tips on like strategy, and she got, you know, she's super in demand right now. And
like modeling or creative, like she's creating?
I mean, she just posts stuff, and she does really good, and she like uses her platform to like highlight causes and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, she gets a massive amount of stuff from brands.
So what?
So she's like I guess you would call her an influencer.
Did you go to Hawaii for a job, or was that just like,
no,
she was just like thanking you?
No, she was just like, hey, we're getting married. Can you come shoot my wedding? And I was like, I don't shoot weddings. And I was like, you know, I don't shoot weddings at all. And she's like, I get that, but like,
please,
you know, and her husband is, his name's Franco. And they're like, yeah, we're getting married, and we both like really love your stuff. So like, if we pay for you guys to come out, like, would you do it? And I was like, yeah, like, I'm not going to charge you or anything. Like, you're paying for the trip.
Damn.
So we got to go to Hawaii for free, and that was amazing. And that was because of Instagram.
Right.
Like all the work, Instagram.
It's crazy.
So it's like, you know, a lot of the people that I'm meeting with while I'm here is all through Instagram.
Yep.
So it's like the website and stuff hasn't had to be necessary. And once you have like the traditional things that you need to have, like your website and your SEO, and you're showing things off, and you have your case studies, and you have all that, then it's more of like a sales-based business. It's more like a rigid at that point. And thankfully, you know, the company is technically about to be 2 years old. But it's never really been something where like we've had to do something.
Yeah.
Like the first gig that we got to do was with New Era Cap for the Super Bowl in Houston. And then they liked the work that we did then. And it was like 13 videos or something from 4 activations.
Right.
So we did all those, and then I got to go to Dallas for the draft last April, the NFL draft, and we shot some more stuff for them. So that was really cool.
Right.
But it's never been something like there's enough money there.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Like you don't have to stress about things, and you know, you could be in like super business mindset, like, you know, I'm going to scale this up. Like I'm going to go crazy. Like I'm going to do all this. And that's when I say like I'm a lazy creative, because like I want those things, but I want to make sure that it's at a pace that I'm okay with.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, I know that if I try to do something too fast, it can spin out of control, and like it could cause a lot more damage.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
right.
I'd rather not take the chance.
Yeah, take a nice pace and like ease into everything. Like that's definitely the smartest way to do it. Damn, that's fucking dope, man. You've been kind of crushing it, huh?
I'm trying.
That's tight. I feel like it would be difficult for me. It was always difficult being from Iowa. There's not a lot of options. There's not a lot that I can do there. Like you said, everything. I mean, it was like very minimal. There was no budgets really. Like no one was spending money on content like that at the time. So it was very stressful for me being there, and I knew I needed to do something to get out. But for you being from Houston, or like living in Houston and creating your model there, I feel like it's such a big and growing, like it was cool because we got to go do, when we were there, there's a Houston artist named Ingrid. Have you heard of her?
No.
She's signed to Beyonce's label. But I don't know if they put anything out yet or how long she's been signed. But anyway, they had, like, we linked up with her, and she like gave us a whole tour of like Third Ward and like all this shit in Houston, like drove us all over the place. And it was dope being there, but I'm like, this place is so fucking massive. Like,
yeah, it's huge. So it's like, if we were doing like oil and gas stuff, like I'd just make so much money, because it's just, most of the agencies there are oil and gas specific, because oil and gas runs the city. Like seeing y'all's gas prices out here is just wild to me. Like I couldn't do it. Like gas prices alone, I just couldn't do it.
That's crazy.
Like if I got to pay more than like $1.85, like I'm mad.
Yeah, I feel you.
There's no way you're getting that in California.
Ever.
So it's like, you know, like our sales tax is super, super low.
Yeah.
Like by my apartment, it's like 6% or something.
That's crazy.
And then, you know, gas is super cheap. Like the apartment that I have in Houston would be so far out of what I could possibly afford in LA.
Yep.
So it's like, it's crazy. And like, I always think about that. I'm like, if I was in LA or New York, I know more people in those places than I know in Houston, and it's the work that I want to do, but is like at what cost? Like if it's
comes with a lot of costs.
Yeah, and like if the sacrifice is me working nonstop just to try to make the living that I want to make when I already have that living that I want to make and I'm happy, like, to me that's not a good trade. Now I'm not saying that that's the same for everybody, because like there's people that, you know, they're working 60 to 80 hours a week and like they're killing it, like they're crushing it. That's just not something that I would want to do, because I know that with creative fields in particular, like if you're overworking yourself just constantly and you're just like putting yourself in like these bad positions mentally, like I'm not trying to have like a stress heart attack at 30. Like I'm just not going to do it. And it's more common than people think.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like I've got in modes where like I'm so stressed out and I'm like borderline depressed about things, and like I can't function, like I can't be creative, like I can't work for like days and days at a time.
Right.
And you know, that's my personal problem, but it's like I don't want to put myself in a position where that could be like a common thing.
Yeah. Because
it's not worth it.
At
the end of the day, like you're just doing stuff. Like if you're just doing this to the point where like you're not,
I love that.
Yeah, like you're just like, you're not doing anything special. You're just doing stuff. Like that's all it is.
Right.
And you know, it's kind of meta to be like, you know, none of this stuff matters, but like it really doesn't. So it's like you worry about the things that are important to you and like align your lifestyle with what fits that.
Right.
So it's like if I tell myself that I want to be creative and I want to have this company and I want it to be huge and, you know, be this big machine, like that's cool. Like if I want to put my mind towards that, I can do it, but it's just not a choice that I feel like I need to make right now.
Yeah, it's gotta be something desirable. Like if you're not doing, like you said before, if you're doing it for anything else besides yourself, like it's not gonna be a win for you. Like
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, I feel like we covered a lot, bro. I want to leave time to ask. I let the community ask questions. I posted it recent, so I don't know if it's got a lot of traction, but people on Patreon.
People were hitting me up about it. I was like, how did y'all even know that I was doing that?
I know. I posted a couple stuff. Like, dude, we're getting more organized, but it's still hard to like run a fucking podcast on top of like having a real life and doing jobs. And
like I want to do it, and I was like, I'll have one episode like every 6 months. There's no way I'm going to be consistent.
Greg has one too, and I know like I listened to his like 5 episodes maybe. I'm like, damn, like, and they were fun. They were like fun little conversations he was having. I didn't even know the dudes he was talking to, but I was like, yo, this is pretty dope. I don't know what this is, and then it just like died. It was like the same time we started our shit. I was like, fuck, Greg's gonna kill me. And then he came out with it, and I was like, okay. But like consistency is like key, obviously, in this shit and everything. But like, is touring and trying to do a podcast, like me and Dave would be like in Cologne or something, like just went outside and recorded a podcast, and then the goal is like, all right, cool, let's do one next week. And then 3 weeks passed by, and it's like, fuck, like, dude, there's no time to do it. And that's the same thing with you talking about traveling. Like, touring is, your life is frozen.
I mean, what is because I'm gonna ask some questions now.
All right, cool.
What is your delivery schedule like when you're doing something like that?
Tour?
Yeah, like, are you getting like a shot list of like what you have to get from like a producer or something, or like you handling all that yourself?
Yeah, so I was like leading the video shit, and then we'd have like 2 bosses that would oversee the content in general. So like they may have ideas for like, they may be like, oh, today we want to do a recap on this or do this, but that was like few and far. Once we kind of built a style for the tour, it became that like on repeat. Like every single night we had a show, we would be creating content, photo and video. We would both like go back and hammer out content afterwards, and we would be delivering like the gifts, the cinematic gifts or whatever, and everything would go to Beyonce.com. So every night we had to make sure we were providing that shit. So say maybe one day there's something special that's happening, like, oh shit, this is gonna happen. We need to capture the city, or we need to go do this. There may be like some stuff like that where we're just like, you know, go capture something here. But other than that,
how big was the team for something like that? Was it just you and Dave?
It was me and Dave. And Dave got brought on as my assistant for Coachella. So he was like technically an assistant, but then we just opened it up, and me and him were like shooting everything together. Yeah. And then...
So we're editing everything too?
Yeah, we'd edit. Well, we'd edit, but we also had editors that were with us doing... Like, content was always changing. Like, on the tour, like, content would change. There would be pieces that we'd try to make. Some stuff would just be for internal shit. Like, it would just be like a bunch of random stuff. But then we had like another 2, Ari and Julian. They were like shooting everything on like old film cameras. And I don't know what's happening with that shit, but they were filming everything. Like, it was crazy. And they have the coolest, like, they have like a stash of dope old cameras that they were just, that was it. And then in Paris, we had like 2 other people that were with us that were shooting like kind of like docu style, whatever. Sometimes I'm filming shit. So it was like a bunch of us, but digital wise, it was me and Dave, and like our job mainly was to create like moments that we would share. And then we started doing like recappy shit towards the end of the tour. And we also would like, I would make like videos with Shaquana too. She, like, we would do like her nonprofit basically gave $100,000 to a Boys and Girls Club member every show for like the last 10 shows. Oh, wow. Or something like that. It was like $1 million or maybe like 1.1 over the course of like a few shows. So every night Khaled would like read it out, and these kids would all be at the show because they got to go for free, but they didn't know they were winning this. Yeah. So like we would find the kid, and it was like doing some fucking private eye shit, because we'd have to like find the kid in 60,000 people.
And you still have to worry about
kid content. Yeah. Okay. But this would happen during Khaled's set, so it was kind of easier because I could like do that shit. And at that point, B&J might be in the dressing rooms or something, so there's nothing really to film. So I'd be out there capturing that, and so we'd find like the kid and find a way to shoot the reaction, and you'd see this kid like get $100,000 to go to college, and and most of them usually have like crazy sad stories where it's like first to do it in their family, this and this and that, blah blah blah, and so we'd make like little recaps for that shit, and so there'd be like random stuff, but yeah, it was kind of it was pretty intense though.
So it's like when you're doing something like that, and you have like all those deliverables that you're doing, and you're sending it every day, and like you're saying, because it sounds like you had like a routine that you were doing, right?
Yeah, eventually. So
it's like, I know that I'm gonna ask my own question, because this is a good one. You're shooting the same thing over and over, like you know exactly what's gonna happen every time. So like, how are you making that look different?
Yeah, that would be tough,
because that's a hard thing that like I know a lot of people struggle with. Yeah, and that's something that I worked through with shoes. Right. So it's like with people, it's even harder, and if you're shooting the same people over and over and over again, it's like, how do you prevent yourself from getting burnt out on that?
Dude, it was hard. Sometimes we'd be, and then the worst is like deep into the tour, you do like Chicago back to back, 2 shows, New York back to back, Houston 2 shows back to back. So it's like, fuck, the venue doesn't change. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you go hard for the first night, and then the second night is kind of like your lazier night. But like we would always kind of just, I don't know. I feel like we'd either find tools or we'd find new tricks or we'd try to just come up with new ideas like towards the end of tour. And it helped that we had like a fucking huge band and group of dancers.
Yeah.
So like there was always something to shoot. Like Dave got so obsessed with these dudes, the Bone Breakers, and he would like shoot mini music videos, and it'd be so funny because I like look over and he'd be on one of the runways and these guys are all sitting out in the corner of the runway and they're doing all these, they're breaking their bones and doing all this crazy shit, and Dave's in there shooting like a fucking music video with this shit. And sometimes he like tried to show up the gifts and like one wouldn't get approved. The one shot that he wants wouldn't get approved, so he tried to shoot it better the next night and the better the next night, and like he just would focus on that one thing because he's like, this is gonna be the shit. And then finally it like happened for him and he got like one.
That's what I'm saying. You're doing it for you.
Yeah, you want
like,
to create.
What it is.
Yeah, that was it. So like, it was fun because anytime she'd come out with the new outfit, Jay never really changed. He always wore the same clothes basically.
Yeah.
But B would every once in a while come out like boom, a new dress would come out, and like we knew that's like high priority because the fans go crazy for that shit
every time.
Whatever designer, whoever. So we would just go and I would like go crazy. I remember she came out in this one design. It was like, I don't even know the name of the company. Viva Lives. I don't know, but they're fucking big, and it's this like silver dress and it flowed like mad long and shit.
Yeah.
And she came out, and when she came out I was like, oh fuck, because I don't think she had changed an outfit in a while, but she came out with that one, and this like the cape was like 20 feet long.
Yeah, I saw those.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
And I was just like I was like, oh shit, because we also would like have issues where we'd be in the way of the show cameras.
Yeah.
So when I'm running through doing a pass with like a Ronin or whatever, like you see me, and it's like the debate of like how many times should I go or should I be up there that long, and sometimes I would just send it and like go out there and just not give a fuck. When she came out with that dress I was like, don't care, like
it's happening.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was like the first time I ever went on our bridge that moved. Like I went up the stairs when it got to the end and like went up there with her and Jay. Like no one did that on the tour. Like and I was just like, fuck it, and like went up there and her dress like came around me and I started getting so paranoid that it was gonna get stuck because it was like swooping around me, and I was like, oh my god, I should have never came up here, yo. But the shots were so crazy, it was like so worth it. But that's like the shit, like you're always challenging yourself to find like new ways to shoot the show, and it's the stadiums are big but everything can look the same. So I would like, do I go all the way up to the top and try to do something up? Yeah, no one else is really going up there, I'll go do that.
Yeah, see, I'm terrified of heights, so like I would have been like, okay, how can I shoot 100 different ways from like down below here. The stage?
Yeah,
there's no way that I'm getting on that catwalk.
The catwalk's not that bad. The catwalk's like,
nah, man,
5 feet.
Nah, like I'm talking about the catwalk like above the stadium.
Oh, I
like,
thought you were talking about like, sorry, we call our runways catwalks. I don't know why
those are fine.
Yeah, I was like, what?
But like anything taller than like 6-7 feet, like I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
like I get sketchy. Like we have our cabinets in our apartment, like they're really really high, like excessively high. So like she can't reach anything because she's not a giant, but like I'll have to like use a stool sometimes. I'm like, I'm too big to be on this like tiny stool. Like this is terrifying.
You gotta go to like Home Depot and get a little step ladder.
Yeah, I don't like ladders at all. Like if a ladder's involved, like I'm probably not gonna do it. Like I'm the most like aggressively adverse person to like anything with heights. Like
that's
I won't
crazy.
do it. But like I can't fly on a plane unless like I'm in the window seat because like I need to see everything. It's like the weirdest phobia.
I feel you. I feel you. No, that makes sense. Like to feel sort of in control, or to at least see like, okay, the plane's going down. I can tell now. Like whereas if you're in there and the dickhead doesn't open the window and you feel like crazy shit happening, you're like, yo, like wake up, bro. Like I need to see.
And it's like when we went to Chicago like 2 summers ago and paid like the $30 or whatever to go up on the sky deck at Sears Tower, and I was like, I'm not doing it.
Didn't do it.
I was like, I paid for the ticket. I was like, nope. I looked down and there's a picture of me and like my eyes are just huge. I'm like, there's no way. And like my girlfriend's out there and she's like hitting a squat and everything. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how are you so okay with this? Like,
back here.
Like you're making me nervous, and like I'm not even doing it. Like I'm like shaking trying to take pictures of her. I was like, I can't.
I feel like in those scenarios, I always just think like when the plane starts fucking going crazy and I'm like, oh fuck, we're gonna die. I always think that, but then I'm like, nah, because the dude driving wouldn't have drove up here if he knew it was going to be bad. Yeah. Or something. Or the plane would have drastically changed the route because he knows he needs to do it to save his own life versus
the scariest thing I've ever had to deal with on a plane is when I landed in Boston the second trip that we went. Right. The plane slid. It slid probably like 12 to 15 feet sideways. Damn. And I lost it.
That's gotta feel
like,
so weird.
Like I was just sitting there and I was just frozen. Like I've never been in a plane and it starts drifting.
Were people yelling and shit?
Yeah, like everybody was freaking out, and I was like, I'm trying to, like, I'm just like sitting there and I'm like,
this is it. Shoot the nugs when we get out. We're gonna shoot the nugs when we get out.
We're gonna call them, and then it was like before they were recreational, so like I couldn't even touch anything. I was like, wow,
fuck.
That was a fun trip.
That's
I couldn't
terrifying.
even touch what I was shooting.
When we flew to Africa, I like woke up or I think I had just taken a bunch of ZQL to fall asleep because it was like a 14-hour flight or something. And I like look at the map, we're like way over the ocean. And then he's like, hey guys, it's going to be bad for a little while. And it got really fucking bad. And it was like they didn't serve dinner because of it. And my whole plan was like, take ZQL, eat my dinner, fall asleep. Yeah. And that's what I always do. And then I took the ZQL, they paused dinner. So I'm like, fuck, I gotta stay awake for a little while. And then I'm like trying to fight it. And then all of a sudden it starts getting terrifying. And I like got on the internet and was like texting Lauren, like, love you, playing, this is scary as fuck.
I'm about to be on Lost too.
I really thought so. I was like, this is crazy. And like my friends that were like dancers and shit were in the back, like, fuck yeah. They're like screaming, like, let's go. Like, no. Everyone's like, yo, shut up. But they're just like, three dudes trying to feel like very masculine about this shit. Nah. I'm like, we're gonna die, yo. Like I'm trying to tell my family, everyone, like, like I'm good. Yeah, that was terrible.
I can't do heights at all.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Okay, let me ask you questions. Back to the shit. All right, Patreon. Justin says, what is his go-to everyday shoe? Were you a shoe junkie before you got into shoes?
I was, and then I stopped buying them
because you did like the whole merch shit. So I feel like you were
so
in the
like at that time, like I wasn't buying anything crazy. Like I think I like at most I had like 20 or 25 pairs, but like nothing was crazy. Right. Because I stopped caring when I couldn't get the shoes that I wanted. Like it's still now, like I don't really buy shoes. Yeah. Because it's like I'm gonna shoot in them and I'm gonna destroy them. Right. So it's like for the most part, like my favorite shoe is still like a canvas Vans old school. Right. Like it's still my favorite shoe, hands down. And I've been trying to do stuff with Vans like nonstop. So hopefully that happens. But like for just every day, it would probably be that shoe. And then like otherwise like gym stuff, it would be my Ultra Boost. That's it. It's just shit about shoes. Yeah. Like but it's like, I don't care as much as people like think that I would. Yeah, right. Because like I don't care about the shoes at the end of the day. Like I care about doing stuff that's like creative. Right. Are these out of style? No, I mean I've shot those like 10 times. Really? Yeah. I bought the amount of times that I've shot them, like they're good. Okay, tight. Because I bought like a black pair a year ago, and then I was like, I need a new pair of shoes. I'm like, damn, I like the color. That shit's tight. But I'm like, are these old as fuck now or whatever? I've done some crazy stuff with those. Word. Yeah, that's tight. Those are one of my favorite ones. Like I can't wear them because they're super uncomfortable for me. But really? Yeah, I don't know why. For set and shit, or like being on my feet all day long, these things like work. I don't know. Yeah, like those in Vapor Max, like I can't. Just like destroys my feet. I don't know what it is. So Adam Sandzak, he says, hey, Grant's a wizard. And then lightning bolts. And I was like, told him to ask you a question. He said, if he hasn't already shared during the interview, first, when did he first meet Bun B? Second, top 3 restaurants in H-Town. That's a hard one. So first meeting Bun B was like 2010 or 2011. Was that a show? No, first time I met him was like at a clothing store. Oh, really? And like I nervously asked him for a picture, and like my friend, I had like the LG NV phone that like you flipped open. Hilarious. So it had like a 0.5 megapixel camera or something stupid. And this idiot, he didn't even take a picture, like he took a video. So I had to like try, like I took a picture of like a 1 megapixel picture on my phone, and like that was the first time I met Bun, and he still remembers that. That's tight. Like the last time I saw him, I brought it up. I was like, that was like 10 years ago, and it was like both of us were like, because I was getting pretty big then, so like I was almost like 300 pounds in. So it's like, and he was a lot bigger. So like we just like two completely different people now. Damn, you were around 300 pounds? Yeah, it was like 280 or 290 at my heaviest. When did you lose your weight? Over the last couple of years. Yeah. But like a lot since like the first podcast I was on, I was like, wow, I look horrible. So I just started like dieting like crazy. Damn. I'm trying to get back in. Every time I do a tour, I come home and then immediately I'm going to get into I'm going to get that shit. I want to get to the gym. But then like 50 jobs happen. I'm just like on my computer all the time, just like weighing more and more. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, I've lost like 60 or 70 pounds in total. That's impressive. Which is hard because food in Houston is so crazy. Dude, the food in Houston it's unreal. Fucking fire. So I would say my number one restaurant is called Mala. Mala? It's called this. It's a Szechuan place. It's just amazing. I'm trying to remember the one I went to. It was so fucking good. Yo, where was it? Chicken. Frenchie's. They took you to Frenchie's? Yeah. The one on Scott Street in Third Ward by U of H? Yeah, that's the original one. Fucking clutch. You don't like it? It's good. That one's good. All the other ones are just like super, super salty. Why is it like chained out now? Yeah, it's like a franchise. Okay. But that's like the first one. Yeah. And I thought they closed it because they're like doing a bunch of construction over there. Because like the school is just eminent domaining like everything. That shit was just like a shack. Yeah. It's like, it's got the thing that you walk out front, and it's like the plexiglass box. Yeah. And it was so hot too. Like, dog, working in that kitchen would be the worst thing. Yeah, like Texas heat is different. Fucked up. Like August, like I I passed out on a shoot in August.
Damn.
Because like I had forgot to like drink because I was just so focused.
Yeah.
And we were on a Ferris wheel, and as I just talked about, I'm terrified of heights.
Right.
So like we're in the one downtown, and it's like went way faster than I was expecting, and I just like I don't know if I just started like panicking or something, but like my vision got all blurry and like I like fell over, and I was like,
shit.
It was horrible. Because like, and that's another reason like I was able to lose so much weight, because it's like I can't, like I wear all black every single day because I'm gonna sweat through like everything.
Yep.
And like in August, like you're talking about like 110 with like 70% humidity.
Brutal.
You just want to peel your skin off. Like it's terrible.
Brutal. Fucking brutal.
But I'd say like Mala, and then second would be, damn, it's hard. Second would probably be this steakhouse called, why can't I remember the name of the steakhouse? We went there for our anniversary, and I can't remember the name. Vic and Anthony's, that's what it is.
Vic and Anthony's?
Yeah, Vic and Anthony's. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them, but the guy that owns the Rockets owns them.
Oh, dope.
And then the third one's probably this poke place next to my apartment.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
And like Houston poke is like, since we have like we have a really, really big like Vietnamese community. So there's a lot of Vietnamese food like everywhere in Houston. And I swear it gives us like the best poke ever.
Damn.
Because like I went to Hawaii and I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, I know this is how it's supposed to be and this is authentic, but like I don't want this.
Right.
Like this is just like fish and rice, and it's like really fresh and it's nice and everything, but it's like you go to like a place in Houston, it's like I have like a sauce that like melts your face. Yeah. And I'll just always eat things that are just, I don't know why I do it to myself, but like
spicy as fuck.
Yeah. Like it has to be. I don't really eat food unless it's like really, really spicy.
Damn.
So it's like my bowl looks like it's like this nuclear bowl of fish.
It's like
every single time. But it's called local poke, and it's fire. It's so good.
Fuck. I feel like we covered it.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
No, that covers pretty much everything.
What's your biggest goal for this year?
Biggest goal for this year is probably to be able to hire some people. Like I wanna have a team by the end of the year. Just to help take on bigger projects that I know that I can't do myself. Yeah. And so I think probably the biggest goal is being able to change enough to be able to let things go. Right.
Well, I'm sure we got like, I know for sure there's like Houston BWNC members, but maybe if you ever need an intern or something, let me know. I can post it on the shit. See if,
for sure.
Get some people to pull through. You never know. Cool, dude. Well, fuck, I appreciate it. If people listen this far, I always let you pick a hashtag, and then I tell them to go to your last, whatever your most recent post in your feed is at this point in time, and put the hashtag and tag me in it, so we both know that they listened to the whole fucking hour and 35 minutes.
Jesus.
Yeah, we talked.
That's a long one.
No,
sorry
I've
about that.
done one for 3 hours, bro, with Justin O'D show. That shit was.
That guy's crazy.
We talked a lot. That was my first podcast, so I was like super nervous and just had like all these notes and shit. And like, the next thing I know, we were talking about his job at like a fucking fitness center, like cleaning towels for like 20 minutes. Yeah, like, that has nothing to do with his YouTube channel.
I mean, it happens, man.
Yeah.
It happens.
But anyway, yeah, anything you want, hashtag, just so we know.
We'll just do hashtag. It shouldn't be cold in LA.
There we go. That's it. All right, tight, dude.
There you go.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming through.
Sir.
That was good. That's it for episode 65 with Grant Tucker. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Make sure to follow Grant on Instagram at SCKNOWS so you can start fucking with what he's doing. Make sure to leave a review on iTunes or YouTube or wherever you fucking do that shit at, so creators know that this podcast can help them. Any feedback is appreciated. Again, if you love this podcast and the private community, pop over to our merch store and grab some gear. We really appreciate it. Shop BWNC.com. And if you want discount codes, we give out codes to our Patreon supporters, along with many other exclusive offers. Patreon.com/BlackWithNoCream. Join the Patreon army. And speaking of our Patreon supporters, I just want to give a shout out to our top tier supporters. Thank you so much for the OU Rich producers of the show, Aisha and Reed. And shout out to our OU Rich executive producer, my boy Craig. Y'all are live forever. Thank you. Subscribe to Black with No Cream on every platform of your choosing. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. We will see you next week, you bitch.